want to know how the independent variable influences the changes in your independent variable influences your dependent variable. Dependent variable is what if a cause is like a cause and effect. This is the effect. If this happens, this is going to affect this like that. You now get your dependent variable. Example, in a finance and accounting, you have a firm value. In accounting, you have earnings management. You have your dividend payout. These things are the things that has things that affect them, that changes in those other things, which is your independent variable, definitely affects the outcome of your dependent variable. So when you have this knowledge, when you are choosing a topic, when you know that your area, you will know, okay, what is the problem in that area? What is it that I want to find out? What is it that I want to know? By the time you know that as your dependent variable, then your independent variable now are the ones that you can manipulate. You can change it. You can manipulate it into, for instance, those manipulations are now called the proxies. You can get the proxies from your independent variable. For instance, in capital structure, when studying its impact on firm performance. Firm performance now is the dependent variable. You want to now know the outcome, the changes in your capital structure. How does it affect the performance of a firm? When you get to know the change, that changes, how it will affect the performance of a firm. That changes now becomes your independent variable, while the firm performance is your dependent variable. The effect, the cause and effect. So it's very important when you get to know that your subject area, you now get to know the domain. There are so many research topics that we see that are being carried out in banking sector, which does not have at the end of, by the time you go into it, you find out that it's not suitable for banking sector, or this research is not suitable for manufacturing sector. But because you do not really know what goes on or what happens with the independent variable and independent variable, you start mixing them up. That's why when you come for defense, you will see people, they will be mixing things up. By the time they ask you this one, they will not, at the internal level, they will not tell you this one cannot fly for manufacturing company, this one cannot fly for finance, this one cannot fly for other. Jesus.
Dr. Precious, can you unmute yourself? Can you unmute yourself, Dr. Precious, if you can hear me? Dr. Precious, can you unmute yourself? Dr. Precious, are you there? Can you hear me all? Hello, can you hear me all?
I can hear you, sir.
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, I don't know. I think we lost
Good evening,
Dr.
sir.
Yeah, Dr. Wabla, welcome on board.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. Good
Yeah,
evening.
good evening all. Yeah, good evening. While we are waiting for Dr. Precious, I can fill in the gap. I think what the example she has been given, talking about knowing what your dependent variable is in a topic is very, very germane, and knowing what your independent variable is. I think she was using the example of capital structure and firm performance. If are you, Dr. Precious, are you back? Okay. If you are studying the effect of a capital structure on a firm performance, basically what you are saying is you want to know, your capital structure is your independent variable, because that's the cause and effect we are talking about. That what is the effect of a firm capital structure on its performance? And a firm performance can be measured in various ways. You can use a ROA to measure firm performance. You can use what's it called? Tobin's Q can also be used as a measure of a firm's performance. You can use ROE to measure firm performance. You can even use the what's it called? Net profit margin to measure performance. So if you are studying the effects of a capital structure on firm performance, your capital structure is your independent variable. Is having a causative effect on firm performance. So independent variable. So, and that brings you to the issue of, yes, capital structure. There are many ways and there are many proxies we can use to measure capital structure. Are you with me? So, what are the possible proxies? What are the possible proxies that we can use to measure capital structure? We can use debt to equity ratio, right? Or what's it called? That's or if you don't use it,
you can use earnings, debt to equity earnings. Is there
are we together?
But you can use.
It's Benedict. Mute yourself. Like I was saying, there are many proxies we can use to measure capital structure. Debt to equity is one of them. Debt to total asset is also one of them. So you might decide you want to know, does what's it called, debt to equity ratio has an impact on return on assets. Return on assets is your dependent, is a proxy for firm performance. Let us get one thing right. Your variable and your proxy, they are two different things. Your variable and your proxy, they are two different things. Capital structure is a variable of interest. We want to know the effect of capital structure on firm performance. Capital structure is your independent variable. Firm performance is your dependent variable. But the question is, what is your proxy for firm performance? What is your proxy for capital structure? like I've identified some proxies for my capital structure now as debt to equity ratio or debt to total assets ratio. So the same thing goes. The variable of interest is for the dependent variable is firm performance. So what is the proxy for firm performance? When we use the word proxy, because there are many measurements. There are many ways you can measure performance. So we now have to use, for your study, you need to identify which is the most suitable proxy you can use to measure firm performance, because it is not a single measurement. It is not a single measurement. Are we together? So that's why you need to define the proxy you are using to measure firm performance. While somebody might study this same relationship, that's a capital structure and firm performance, using ROA as a dependent variable as proxy for firm performance. Another person might use ROE, that's a return on equity, as a proxy for firm performance. So the same thing goes for the independent variable, which is the capital structure. You might be interested in just knowing the effect of debt to total assets, or debt to equity ratio. Those are proxies for capital structure. They are proxies for capital structure because you are not measuring capital structure directly. You are using an indicator. Proxies are indicator of a capital structure. Proxies are indicators of the variable. That's what I want to say. Proxies are indicator of your variable. So you must know which is the proxy you want to use to measure your variable of interest. You understand? So, like I said, I'm just trying to fill in the gap for this section is meant for Dr. Precious. I don't know whether she's back on board now. Doctor, are you there? Okay, I'll still continue. Dividend policy determinants. I'm using another example. Suppose you want to determine what the determinant of a dividend policy. If I may ask, maybe we can unmute ourselves. Let's interact a little. Determinants of a dividend policies. Of dividend policy. Determinant of the dividend policy. What is the dependent variable in this study? Anybody? Determinant of dividend policy. Anybody can try. I want to know the dependent variable.
Dividend policy.
Dividend policy. Thank you very much, Dr. Wabler. So now let's suggest independent variable for that study. Can we suggest independent variable for the study? Anybody? Independent variables. When we say independent variable, like we have said, the cause and the effects. The cause is the independent variable. The effect is on the dependent variable. So what are the factors? What are the factors that influence the decision to pay dividends? That's what we are saying in a way.
Can we say profitability, sir?
Profitability is one of them. Very good. Any other person?
Dividend payout, sir. Dividend payout, sir.
No, dividend payout. We have identified dividend payout as our DV. That's a dividend policy as our dependent variable. But what factor?
Liquidity.
Liquidity.
Cash.
Very well.
What about cash flow?
Aroture, you are trying to say something?
I was saying cash flow.
Our cash flow. That could be another determinant, because if you don't have cash, you might not be able to pay you might not be able to pay dividends.
Can we add leverage?
Leverage is another one, because any company that is highly levered, that has high debt,
Can we add firm size?
firm size is also, very much applicable. Because
Can
we
we
are
add
looking
the shareholder preferences?
Yes.
shareholder preferences. Yes, that's a good one. I will use to make a point now. Shareholders preferences. Some shareholders might have preference for capital gain, some for what's it called? Income. They are interested in income. Okay, they are interested in the instead of they are interested in dividend income. Some might be interested in capital gain. They don't want to be paid what's it called? Dividends. So, like you said, shareholder preference. But I have a problem with that. Who said that? Is it Michael?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The problem I have is, what proxy are you going to use to measure it? It's a very germane point, like I have expanded on it. What proxy are you going to use to measure the shareholder's preference? Can anyone think of any proxy we can use to measure shareholders' preference? It's a very good point, because I agree that some shareholders prefer, maybe people in the high income bracket already, the super rich don't want more of a cash dividend because they will be taxed.
Ordinary shareholders, or how are we going to?
I didn't get you.
Can it be measured as ordinary shareholders, like
shareholder preference? Proxy for
Okay. Can we say if we are talking about the proxy of measuring the shareholders' preference,
yes.
Can we consider like maybe the salary structure that is based on how much the shareholder earns?
But we don't have information on what shareholders earn. Shareholders are not employees of the company.
Can we consider earning per shares?
Earnings per share might not give you indication, because earning per share is applicable to all shareholders.
Okay, maybe composition of shareholder. Let me talk about, okay, maybe what I used, like block shareholders, those with 5% and above, or 10% and above, like having.
I think that might be a good proxy, because if you look at block shareholders,
Yes.
or maybe significant individual shareholders.
Yes.
If you look, if you're familiar with a First Bank shareholding, what's his name? Femi Otedola.
Otedola, yes.
Is holding about maybe about 5% of the shareholding.
More than.
More than.
Yes.
So that is a significant shareholder.
Yes.
He might not be interested in dividend or payment. He might prefer capital gain. You understand?
That's
and if you look,
capital appreciation.
capital gain, capital appreciation, the same thing. You understand? So we might use a block shareholding as a proxy for what's it called? Shareholders
Shareholder preference.
You understand?
Yes.
So that's, that is how, then the next thing is you need to back it up with literature.
Yes.
You need to back it up with literature, because it's not just for you. What have others been able to use that as proxy for measurement of a shareholder's preference? You understand?
Yes, sir.
So those are, we have been able to identify a lot of determinants of dividend policy. Sorry, Dr. Precker just sent me a message that she's having problem with a laptop, but I think I'm doing my best to fill in the gap. So somebody, Dr. Wabla, you are saying something?
I have a question. Sorry,
Sadia.
is my name showing?
Sadia, am I right?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, correct. Yes. Go
Okay,
ahead.
I have a, yes, if you are using Because I know most times before you pick a particular measurement, you have to survey and look at what other researchers have used, right?
Correct.
So how are you filling in the gap since you are using what they use?
Oh, sorry, maybe you didn't get me. I said I'm filling in the gap for Dr. Precious. She was supposed to answer.
No. It's not about what you said. It's something
Okay.
I have been wondering. It's something I have been wondering because in my thesis, of course, there's table of measurement. So, and
Yes.
you have to, just like you said, it is your even, okay, if it is because of what you said you have to
Okay.
back it up with a
Just-
literature.
yes, that's
Okay.
true. Yes,
So
that's true.
the thing is, and again, somebody taught me that yes, before you pick a particular measurement, you have to research and see what other researchers use. So my question is, if you are using what they use, then how are you filling in the gap?
Fine. We have different type of gaps you are filling in.
Mm.
We know the research gap, theoretical gap, empirical gap. What's it called?
This
Methodological.
measurement is what type? Is it methodology? Is as in which type of gap is that?
So if you feel that there is a gap in measurement, that will actually fall under methodological gap. That could fall under methodological.
That still has not answered my question. I don't know if somebody understand my question. Does somebody understand my question? Maybe it's the way I'm putting it to you. Maybe I'm not stating it in the right way that you understand. Somebody should help me, please explain if there's somebody that understand what I mean.
Hello.
It's out. I didn't hear the question. Sorry, sir.
Okay, the question I asked is when you are you do this measurement of a thing.
Dr. Sadia,
I'm listening,
sorry,
sir.
if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm having connection with my audio now.
Okay.
Dr. Wabla, I think we can keep the conversation going while I resolve this issue. Just in a minute, please.
Yes, I will be able to.
Okay, it is a question I asked. I don't know if anybody in this platform can answer my question.
Okay.
So, yes, I hope you can hear me loud now. Can you hear me clear?
Yes,
We
ma'am.
can hear you.
Okay, the question I asked is because it is a very, as in somebody in the, among our lecturers that taught me, if you before you pick a particular measurement, you have to survey and see what other researchers use, and then you back it up with the literature. So what I mean is, you are going to pick it from what other researchers use. How are you then filling the gap? Or should I save this question and ask the person that taught me to be using to do it that way?
No, maybe we'll try so that all of us will benefit. If you
Because
take it, you'll be the only one to benefit there.
It's
But
a professor in another university that actually taught me that.
No, he's not wrong, actually. But the first thing is to identify how you're going to measure your variables.
Yes, how do you identify? Is it not by going through other research and see? So
Yes.
that is the point I'm making.
Yes, but sometimes even before you go, you have, let me use Thesis language. You have a priori, expectation, like profitability. How will I measure profitability? In my mind, I already know that it's either return on equity or return on assets. So before I will now look for literature to back what I want to choose between the two. So sometimes you have your own expectation before you go into the literature. looking at the variables.
So maybe I should direct the question to him because he is the same person that taught me to do that.
No, me and you are just discussing now. We have people that are our hosts. Let's wait for them to come on board so that all of us will gain.
Okay.
Yes.
Sadia,
Naam.
I understood what you were trying to say. That we are looking at the people's, will I say, view on a particular thing. So you are saying that how do we fill up the gap?
Yes.
Are you getting
because,
me?
Yes. Because if you are, let me hold on. Sorry, please. I'm not cutting you. Let me make. I know you understand what I mean. Let me even confirm that you understand what I mean. For example, if you are making a research and somebody is using, let's say, is using listed deposit money banks.
Okay.
You are going to use another sector, right? You use another sector. The reason is because to fill in the gap. You are doing something different. Then when you are using measurement as in the way other people, when you are using the same measurement, so which gap are you filling? So
no, there are a lot of gaps to fill.
You know there are a lot of measurements.
Gaps to fill.
Like if you are talking about liquidity and there are proxies that some people used, like maybe on my own, let me say I'm using quick ratio. Another author, they used maybe current ratio or loan to deposit ratio. So it's just for you to gather all the information of different authors that is related to your own topic and pick like 2 or 3 variables, maybe proxies, which is related to your own work. You know, you are picking. It's not that you are bringing something new that is outside your own topic. Because normally, before you start a research, you know, you have to do conceptual review. Picking all the authors, you understand their concept on that your variable. Then you will pick the one that you feel around that their work that will suit your own work. It's not that you are going to fill another different gap. It's within, but you are picking like 2 or 3. And that's why you can see that most people, when they pick like 2 independent variables, they might decide to have additional, maybe 2 control variables that will influence the relationship on the other. So that you can have, will I say, let me say your results might come out fit or robust. You understand? In terms of, because a high R2, if it's too high, might not be too good. And if it's too low, might not be good. So you must check your variable and the model you're using to see if it's appropriate that will give you a suitable result. That's what
in fact,
done.
Well done. Blessings.
Thank you very much.
In fact, yes, before she even reached at conclusion, before she concluded, she has answered my question. The question I think I understand better when she explained. Because another way to go about it is maybe let's say you search, let's say 20 other distinct work, and then you have noticed, let's say 18 use particular method, so 2 use a different method, right? So maybe you can join these 2, and then in your work you can state that okay, you are so many researchers have used so this thing, but you only few use this. So you are also using it to fill in the gap. You have answered my question before even reaching the conclusion.
Exactly,
that is very brilliant of you. Thank you.
Thank you, my darling.
I think that is where you are going to critique.
Thank you very much for blessing. Thank you, Dr. Wabla, for filling in the gap. I think since that question has been answered, but you know, I missed out while I was trying to sort out my audio. Basically, the gaps are many, not just on methodological. So it can be a theoretical gap, it can be a methodological, it can be what's it called, empirical gap. Like Blessing is trying to say, you and I, we can study you can study the determinant of a bank profitability, for instance, in Nigeria, using XYZ variables. I can decide to use the same determinant of bank profitability in Ghana using XYZ variable. I have identified a contextual gap. Maybe in Ghana they have not done a study profitability. What's it called? Determinant of profitability in the banking sector. So that is a contextual or geographical gap I've identified. And if you know that there are, like Blessing said, this variable in questions has not really been used by researchers in this field. XYZ use ROE and XYZ use ROA, and you want to use what's it called, net profit margin. That is also part of the methodological gap. You understand? But by and large, you can create a research gap for yourself, either by methodology, by empirical, or by theoretical. So, but if you want to develop your own variable, you must then make a strong case for it. It might not be directly from the field of accounting and finance. You might need to engage with other related literature. Since you do not have a direct literature from accounting and finance, if you look at the field of behavioral finance now, is pretty new. Most of the variables that are coming, they are coming from sociology, psychology, and we are applying them. But when you want to do it now, if you don't have literature, you have to go for related literature. Issue of moderation, mediation, they are not finance and accounting originated. They have their origin from sociology, psychology. But today, we are using moderation in accounting. Today, we are using mediation in accounting. But the people that will start it or started it will have to borrow literature, related literature to be able to develop that concept for it to be accepted. That, okay, you can actually use this as a variable in your study. I think that's the way I see it. Thank you very much for those contributions. It's Dr. Pressure back in the house.
Please,
Okay.
sir, can I ask a question there before you proceed?
Oh, please go ahead.
Now, how many proxies do we have in a project?
How many proxy is ideal for your research?
Yes,
or for your?
we have specific numbers of proxy per citation.
Let me always I try to be very clear. What you want to ask is perhaps how many proxies for a variable, or how many independent variables?
Yes. How many proxy per variables? Because IV and the dependent variable, how many do we have per each of these variables?
It depends on you, on your study. Let's take the issue of firm performance now. You want to use one minute. Go check the ACs, see something is wrong. On the issue of performance now, you can use ROA, you can use ROE, you can use net profit margin. So as much as you want to, you can use. But the problem is, there comes the issue of multicollinearity that can occur. We are familiar with that concept of multicollinearity. SN.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, you are familiar with the issue of multicollinearity. So
yes,
multicollinearity can occur, and it will make you to drop the number of what's it called? Some proxies for the you want to use. So if ROA and net profit margins are highly correlated, is going to give you, I mean, it's going to give your regression problem. So there's no point using the three of them. You might want to eliminate one or two, or you might go to what others, some persons will do, to use principal component analysis to derive, I mean, a composite index to measure that particular variable. That is, they will combine the ROA, ROE, net profit margin together to come up with one composite index because of the issue of multiple linearity. Are you getting it? So the challenge, what determines it, or what limits you, in my own experience, is those kind of conflicts. Multiple linearity tends to occur. If you go to what's it called, capital structure, you bring in debt to equity ratio. You bring in debt to asset ratio. You can also bring what's it called, short-term debt to total assets. You can also bring in as many measures of capital structure. But by the time you want to run your regression, you do your VRF, it might become highly inflated. So to avoid that problem, you limit the number of variables that you can use. But if there are no issue of multiple linearity, nothing stops you from using as many as possible. But again, you might run into problem of interpretation. Because you are, okay, you want to determine the, what's it called, effect of profitability on firm value. Net, what's it called, net profit margin might be telling you it is not significant. ROA might be telling you it's significant. ROE might be telling you it's negative and significant. Whereas ROA is telling you it's positive and significant. ROE might be telling you it's negative and significant. And this other one might tell you it is not significant. How do you make your conclusion? Are you with me?
Yes, sir. I'm with you.
So those are the kind of scenario that limits you. So focus, okay, based on this measurement of profitability, you can conclude, draw inference that profitability has a significant, I mean, a positive and significant effect on firm value. You understand? So it makes your interpretation easier to reach. But if you start using too many proxy for the same variable, there will be that conflicting of a result that might occur, and this often than not does happen. I hope I answered your question.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. So so far, like I'm running through the slide of Dr. Precious. I'm just trying to catch up with it. He said, and she also brought up the issue of methodology. Methodological consideration. When are we together?
Yes, we are together, sir.
Okay. So, like we have agreed that we need to identify our independent, dependent variables, independent and dependent variable. So once you identify that, what are the proxies? We have been able to identify the proxies that are there. Am I right? Then your topic is looking viable. It's looking viable. Then you might want to now consider sources of data for your study. Sources of data. most of finance and accounting research use secondary data. Am I right?
No, right, sir.
Yes, we use secondary data because we have the financial reports, we have a sustainability report, we have management report, and all these reports we are trying to, like, we are doing an we adopt the, what's it called, our research philosophy is that of a positivist, and we are doing an export factor research after the fact, such that we are detached. But there are instances that people do primary data in accounting. Most especially people in what's it called, forensics. I've seen this day. Most of them tend to do primary data. True or false? Anybody in forensic here?
Yes. I'm in forensic.
Okay. So the chances are you have colleagues that are, they are doing primary data.
Yes.
So, and we know the challenges with primary data. It's a good source. It's a good source, but you must be ready to do the work.
Number one, you must be ready to do the work. And then secondly, most times primary data, you can hardly see a result that is not manipulated.
Absolutely. Because chances are you sent out 300 questionnaires. Only 50 returned. And your what's that thing called? Your money has recommended 300 that you needed sample size of 300.
Well, most times you end up not giving the right people to fill the form because you are desperate. You want the form to be filled.
So anybody can just fill. Somebody that does not belong to that population will end up filling the form.
Yes.
So Dr. Wabla, I think you are raising up your hand.
Okay, sir. It's still a question that I want to ask that borders around this issue of primary data. I attended one of our defense here, and somebody was making a presentation about what do you call this? It has to do with IT, that it has been introduced in banks and all that. And he collected the data. The truth is, we're like, where? Because the implementation of what do you call this? Blockchain technology. And he said he collected data from banks and he was making the presentation and all that. So, and I was looking at how? Because he said it's about to be implemented. That means this decision has been made. And the truth is, I now looked at, I'm not working with a bank that have been in existence in the last 5 years. I'm working, this bank is one of the banks that, even if you're talking about tech, we should have something. When we went back to the office, we called our IT department. They said, no, this is something that even in Nigeria, we've not even started talking about it. So I was wondering where he collected those data from. And that day, Dr. Fodio was asking him about where he collected the data. Sorry, Professor Fodio. And he said, funds transfer unit of banks. The truth is, even funds transfer unit don't know anything about this technology. So I was wondering.
Technology.
Yes. So I was wondering where he collected those data. It's like just sending it on a platform and collecting. So, sir, in that case, when you're having people that are not supposed to be answering those questions, answering it, and maybe saying no, doesn't it create like a bias? Or at the end of the day, you just subject it to this reliability and what do you call it? Reliability. Yes, and all this test, and it begin to give you some what do you call it? Some results that you now change. I don't know. I think there should be something that you just say no. The wrong set of people answered this question. So, and yes, I believe maybe the person has even done external and all that, and maybe those kind of research will end up on the shelf. I don't know, but but it's not something that they've even started thinking about.
See,
It's only
that-
cryptocurrency, crypto that uses that technology.
Very well said. That's the problem with primary data. You are prone to that manipulation so easily. And let me also say that is why most of our work don't end up in quality journals, because somebody can easily verify. If there's no bank is using a blockchain and you are telling us that you are conducting primary data on that from the bank, you are joking. So primary data is something I always am kind of skeptical. There's absolutely, most of people that do primary data will end up manipulating the data one way or the other. That's the truth. But if you go for your secondary data, is reproducible. If I follow what you have done, that's okay. You have studied determinants of the policy in the insurance sector. If I decided to go and do a replicative study, I should be able to get the same results. But for primary data, no, you can never get the same results. Chances are they manipulated this. Researchers are tempted to manipulate, because in trying to meet up the number of samples you need to give out, once they are not enough, you are not getting the right persons to meet with. It becomes a challenge. You just sit in your living room and you start manipulating the results. So that is one problem, one big problem with primary data. But let me try and see how I round up this section with what Dr. Precious asked for us is that I think she used a smart approach, which I have not. I think I'm just saying that let our research topic be specific. Let the research topic be specific, and I think that's the S in what she asked for us. Let your research topic be measurable. Measurement is very key. Your proxies, are they measurable? You know, I mean, investors' preference, like Michael told us the other time, we struggle with it, but eventually we got something. So when choosing your topic, you need to make sure that your proxies are actually measurable. So in addition to that, when choosing your topic, you need to make sure that they are achievable. Achievable within the time frame. That is the time frame of your study. There's no point going into study. Your program is for maybe 2 years for masters, a PhD is 3 years, and your research will take you like 5 years to get to the end of it. It doesn't make sense. So that means your topic, your research topic should be time bound. So in your choice of topic, you need to apply this smart approach. Let it be specific, let it be measurable, let it be achievable. The other one, that should be the what's it called? I'm trying to, like I said, this is Dr. Precious session, which he has prepared for. I'm just trying to
Realistic.
Realistic. Okay. Realistic. So measurable, achievable. I mean, that's a specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound.
And time bound.
And time bound. That is using the smart approach. So from what we have discussed so far, you should be able to know that your topic is how specific is your topic. That is one area that also, I mean, I wish that we can, if Dr. Precious is back here, we can actually discuss that further. Sometimes you see a topic that is very, very broad. There is the need to narrow it down to the specific. There's the need to narrow it down to the specific. If you are not, I mean, if you want to study the, what's it called? What can I think of when it becomes too broad? The effect of maybe blockchain technology. Effect of blockchain technology on Nigerian students. I'm just trying to create an example from my head anyway. Nigerian students are in their millions. Why not maybe the effect of blockchain technology students in XYZ university, or the effect of blockchain technology on what's it called, retail outlets in Nigeria. Something you narrow it down to a manageable size rather than looking for the entire population in the country. That's being specific. So when you are, you are choosing your context, the context of your study, and that's why you see somebody want to determinant of a dividend policy in the consumer goods, for instance, is specific. The determinant of profitability in the non-financial sector, you are already specific. But if you say the determinant of firm profitability in Nigeria, what type of firms? Are they listed firms? Are you studying private firm? Are you studying quoted firm? Are you studying, you understand? But when you say determinant of profitability of Nigerian quoted or determinants of listed firms in Nigeria, everybody knows that you are focusing on the capital market. But you cannot say determinant of firm profitability in Nigeria. That means both SME are in the population. Your SME, the private companies, even the government, in the firm profitability, even government-owned agencies are also in that population because firms are firms. But if you narrow it down, profitability, determinant of profitability in the consumer goods, of quoted firms or listed firms in Nigeria, you are being specific. So let's know that we need to make our research specific. And that's our research topic specific. We need to have it that it must be measurable, it must be achievable, it must be realistic, and it must also be time bound. So I think that is what I can anchor for that section. If you have question and contribution for that, I'm sure Dr. Precious she's going to share outline. That's our lecture note with us at the end of the day. You have a contribution to that? Any contribution or question? We spent roughly an hour. I want us to move into the second section. Question, contribution. Dr. Precious, you want to wrap it up if you are here? I thought she came in and maybe she left again. Any question, contribution? Are we together? Are we hearing me?
Yes, Doc. We are hearing, sir.
We are hearing you.
Okay. So in absence of any question, can we move to the second section? Is a continuation of what we have been doing. We have done. What we are talking about is understanding the type of variables. Understanding type of variables. In our earlier session, we have discussed, we have mentioned variables. We have mentioned independent variables and dependent variable. And I also remember mentioning by the side, what's it called? Moderating variables, mediating variable, and control variable. Am I right? Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we are looking at understanding types of variables and when to use them in finance and accounting research. So we have delved a little into it earlier. We are looking at these variables: dependent variable, independent variable, moderating variable, mediating variable, and control variable. Those are 5 variables we are looking at tonight. 5 variables. Already, somebody can give us an idea what is a dependent variable. Let's make it interactive. Blessing, you want to try?
Oh, sorry, I'm eating. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I'm eating.
Okay. Sadia, you want to help us? Your dependent variable. Oh.
Dependent, sorry,
Robert.
what dependent variable of what in particular? Sorry, what
No,
did you
I was
ask?
just trying to see definition of dependent variable. But let Robert, I think she raised up her hand.
Okay. Is it definition or you want us to explain what dependent variable
Either definition or explanation.
Okay, just like what you said from the beginning, I think it was Dr. Precious that said it. That's that interest. Okay, let me put it this way. Your dependent variable is the main thing you are looking for a solution to. Is that thing that that doesn't change, I mean. Should I let me okay. Let me
help you.
Yes.
Your dependent variable is your outcome variable. It's the variable of interest that you are looking at the effect of others on. That variable of interest that you are looking at what is affecting, what is making this thing to be the way it is.
Yes.
Huh? So that variable of interest is what is called the outcome variable, and it is your dependent variable. So a dependent variable is the primary outcome of interest in the study.
Yes.
What the researcher seeks to explain or to predict. You are predicting the behavior. When you say determinants of firm performance, you want to know what makes organization makes profit. So your dependent variable there is firm performance. Is the variable of interest, is your outcome variable. You want to know what determines a firm's capital structure. So that capital structure is your dependent variable, is the outcome variable. Is, you want to predict the factors that make capital structure the way they are. Why are some companies highly leveraged? Why are some company low leverage? Why are some companies performing, making more profits than the other? What are those factors that determines their profitability level? So profitability is that your outcome variable, the variable of interest that a researcher is seeking to explain. You want to explain it, and that's why, when you are forming your hypothesis, you might say, what's it called? Leverage has a positive or a negative significant effect on profitability. Liquidity has a positive or negative effect on profitability. What's it called? Pen size has a positive or clinical effect on profitability. That variable of interest is your dependent variable. I think I've explained enough on that dependent variable, which we know, but we need to say it again and again. Let us internalize it. People get to internal, in fact, external too. We have seen cases people get to external defense and they cannot distinguish or identify their dependent variable in their study. They mix independent variable with dependent variable. So these are very, jammy things that as researchers we need to know. So from independent variable, move to, from dependent variable, I talk about independent variables. Independent variables, like we say, we'll look at these two, dependent variable and independent variable, as a cause and effect thing. Your independent variable is having a cause on the dependent variable. So when we say cause and effect, is the independent variable that is, hitting on the dependent variable, that is having impact on the dependent variable. So independent variables are those variables or those factors that are manipulated or categorized to observe its effects on dependent variable. We want to know the effects. They are the one impacting on the dependent variable, like profitability that we have cited, market size, and will have an impact on the profitability. Capital structure will have impact on profitability. What's it called? Working capital will have an effect on profitability. Ownership structure will have effect on profitability. Do we agree with that? Ownership structure, does it have effect on profitability? Chances are it does. Because the way a one-man business is run is different from the way a publicly owned corporation is run. The way government-owned corporation is run is different from the way a publicly listed company is run. So ownership structure can actually have effect on the profitability. You understand? So independent variable is variable that is manipulated or is categorized to observe its effects on the dependent variable. We want to manipulate it to know its effect. What is the effect of this on the dependent variable? So it's having a causal relationship on dependent variable. That's what makes it independent variable. If it's not having an effect or possible effect on it, there's no point. It's no longer, it's not worth classifying as a independent variable. So capital structure, debt to equity ratio might be an independent variable when you are looking at its impact on a firm performance. CSR might be an independent variable. That's a corporate social responsibility when you are looking at its impact on profitability. You understand? Ownership concentration might also be an independent variable when you are looking at their impact on profitability. So I pause and I ask, we have done a dependent variable, moderating, what's it called? Independent variable. What then is a control variable? This is where, this point is very, very, very critical. What then is a control variable?
Control variables. They are the, should I repeat the word? They are the variables. Let's say those things that make companies differently. For example, if you are making a research on, okay, let me use my topic. My topic is moderating effect of corporate governance mechanisms.
Okay.
Sorry, moderating effect of risk management. For me,
Okay.
risk committee financial expertise on the relationship between corporate governance mechanisms and electronic fraud detection.
Okay.
So I used leverage and firm size as my control variable. So this means that the companies that are highly levered are likely to report electronic fraud.
Okay. So what makes it a control variable?
Okay,
What makes
Mm.
leverage a control variable?
There in my using my own topic.
Yes. Wait, okay, wait. Let me put it in context again. Why I'm asking. Earlier, I said leverage is an independent variable when we're talking about determinant of profitability, right? Right? When I said leverage,
yes,
is an independent variable when we are talking about determinant of profitability. So, in your own study now, why is leverage a control variable?
So the way I see it, all these variables, whether the dependent and the control variables, or should I say dependent all these variables, you can use it. It depends on your topic and it depends on what you are looking at. That same variable, you can use it in another research. You can use it as a control variable, and you can use it as independent variable, and you can use it as a dependent variable. The reason why I said so,
absolutely, yeah, I agree
the
with
reason
you.
why I said so is because
yeah.
I actually put those control variables to make my work different, because of course there has been so many researches on corporate governance mechanisms and on electronic fraud. So I want mine to be different. That is why I introduced the moderating variable, and I put the control variable.
Dr. Sadia, thank you.
Sorry, let me say this last thing. I'm wasting your
Dr.
time,
Sadia,
maybe, and I didn't answer the question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, one of my moderating variable was removed from my independent variable. So I had to. Initially it was in the independent variable, and it was a moderating variable. So I had to cancel one. So I removed it from the IV. I left it as a moderating variable. So that is how I got to know. It depends on what you are looking at. All these variables can be used whether independent or dependent. It depends on what you are looking for.
Okay. I get your point, but
can I say something?
Hello,
but
sir.
you have not. I will let you have the floor. But you have not actually clarified. You have not justified the use of why leverage in your work is a control variable, and leverage in the example I gave was an independent variable. Michael, you want to give it a try?
I was on the floor before.
Okay, go on.
Let Michael go first.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Can Michael talk? Let Michael talk, please.
Okay, sir.
My understanding from the scientific point of view, if you are carrying out an experiment and then you have a control factor, you hold that constant to ensure that it does not influence the outcome of your
Okay.
study. So
Michael,
a control
Michael,
variable, a control
I
variable from that
understand that.
point, sir.
Sorry. I understand your control variable from that point, but
Yes.
in this situation, it's not an experiment. It's not like a lab experiment where you have a specimen under control.
So if for instance I now tell you that a control variable is the factor that the researcher keeps constant during his study, and the purpose is to ensure that it stops it from influencing the relationship between the independent and the dependent variable. Would that be wrong?
I am enjoying this class. Actually, in my own topic, it doesn't work that way. The way you just explained it, it doesn't work that way in my own topic.
Sadia, I agree with you. Michael, let me tell you now. So if what you're saying, why do control variable at the end of the day, when you run regression, will have significant effect? Most often, like fem size, we end up having significant effect if you are holding it constant.
That is why we are here for you to explain, sir.
Does that mean it adds value to your research?
Dr. Simon, can I come in?
Yes. Blessing, come in.
Okay. The essence of introducing control variable is to increase the validity of the work. Maybe you have like independent variable. You decided to add additional control variable. It's not that it doesn't have an interest. Will I say it doesn't have a primary interest on the research question initially, but it may affect the relationship of both that independent variable and dependent variable. So the essence is for you to ensure that there is accuracy or reliability of the findings of the work. So that's why most people bring up control variable.
Okay.
In the work, yes.
Blessing, thank you very much. You have made a good attempt. Well, let me state it clearly that when control variables are okay, let me put it in a more practical way. Let's say we want to study the effect of corporate governance, the effects of corporate governance on firm performance. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Effect of corporate governance on firm performance. Your firm performance is your dependent variable, right?
Yes, sir.
So we have identified our dependent variable. So corporate governance, let's have like 2 or 3 corporate governance variable we want to use. You can help me with
board size.
Board size.
Board composition.
No, board size and composition are they not the same thing?
Oh, okay.
Oh, but you can explain your composition anyway. You can define your composition. I don't. Board size, board independence, and
board nationality.
Board gender.
Nationality.
Board gender.
Board remuneration.
Board gender. Okay. Board nationality.
Institutional shareholding.
Board. No. Let's go with this board. I think we have 5 already. Board size, board independence, board gender, board nationality, and board remuneration.
Yes.
All these are board
attributes. Board attributes.
Board attributes. But let me now ask a question. Is it only board attributes that determines a firm profitability?
No.
No, right? We agree with that.
Yes, sir.
We agree with it.
So since it is not only corporate governance variable that determines profitability, but your variable of interest is what? Corporate governance variables impact. Corporate governance variable impact or effect on profitability or FM performance. Am I right? Our variable of interest, our independent variable of interest are corporate governance variables, right? I need your response. Sir. So, but we also know.
Sir.
So we also know that there are other factors that can make a firm to be profitable. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is that correct? So
yes, sir.
in the context of your study, any other variable that has a chance of impacting on your dependent variable, but it is not a variable of interest, but you acknowledge it that they have impact on your dependent variable. Those variables, when you bring them in, you bring them in as control variables. I don't know whether that makes sense.
Sir, you make perfect sense.
Yeah.
Something like just call them by the way.
By the way.
Yes, by the way. It's just like you are making a soup. It is not the major ingredient, but adding curry and thyme makes your soup more distinct. That is it. So it makes perfect sense.
Absolutely. So when you are your research is on board a corporate governance attribute effect on profitability, but they are not the only variable that affect profitability or firm performance. So in order to avoid what is called omitted variable bias, you bring in all those other variables that have impacts on the dependent variable that you know, bring them in as much as possible. You understand? That will now lead me to a question. How many control variables should a study have?
I think 2 is okay.
Do we agree with that?
I agree with her.
2.
I think you can. I think it maybe you can 2, 3.
For me, you can have as much as possible.
Okay.
But do not.
But won't it make you look like you are deviating?
Don't overflog it. That's where I want to. That's the question. Do not overflog it. But
exactly
what we are saying is you recognize this one there as other variables that have impacts. And seeing these things, sometimes they coexist in the same space. You bring them in. Okay, in the middle of all of this, what's it called? You are looking at what's it called? Board corporate governance attributes on performance. But you know that corporate governance attribute, they don't exist in isolation. If they exist based on the size of the firm, they exist based on based on the size of the firm, right? They exist in a situation whereby the company is highly levered. Are you getting me? So some of this, when you bring in leverage into it, you bring in firm size into it. You also bring in working capital into it. Because when boards are meeting, a firm might be leverage, we have leverage, we have working capital, we have size. You understand? It's not that you are going to clean up all these other effects to run impact of corporate governance attribute on performance. Those things are there. They are confounding. They also have effect on firm what's it called performance. So you bring them in as control variable. The only difference, because your focus is on corporate governance attributes. So those your corporate governance attributes are now your independent variables. Those corporate governance attributes are those ones that you are going to run, what's it called? Do literature review on. You do literature review on your independent variable and your dependent variable, but you are not going to do literature review on your control variable because they are not variable of interest. You can only cite, under your methodology, cite works that have used them as control variables. That's all you need to do. You do not need to start burning your energy trying to write literature on your control variable because you are actually focusing on corporate governance attributes on performance. So you bring in these other factors that affect performance as control. Under your chapter 3, you recognize them as control. Small is one paragraph on them is fine. So it's not something you burn your energy on. So it's possible in your study you can have 4, 5, 6 control variables. You are only saying that these other factors, you recognize them, and you are in trying to avoid omitted variable bias. You need to recognize their present too, that these are some of the things that affect the dependent variable. So for short, control variables are additional factors included in a model to account for potential confounding effects. The variables ensure that the observed relationship between independent and dependent variable is not distorted by omitted factors. You bring them in so that in the midst of this, when you have a working capital, you have leverage, you have a firm size, a corporate governance attribute affects a firm profitability. That's what we are just saying. You understand? So you bring those, what determines, in essence, what I'm saying is what makes a control variable, what makes a variable control is the focus of your study. Hello?
Hi.
What makes a variable a control variable is actually the focus of your study. If they are not the variable, if they are not the independent variable of interest, they become your control variable. You recognize them as these are other variables that can affect your dependent variable. That's what makes them what's it called, control. And that is why you will see that leverage can be independent variable when you are studying the impact of a corporate. You are studying the impact of a capital structure on profitability. But the same leverage will come and serve as a control variable under the what's it called, board attributes effect on profitability. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So
Sir,
I think that's what yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So you said you will not bring up your control variable initially. It has to be in chapter 3, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm trying to ask you again. After analyzing your data, and you found out that what you used was not really fit, maybe in terms of results, can you then introduce a control variable to influence the relationship between the independent and dependent variable? Can you then at that point introduce it? Since when you are working on your literature review, control variable shouldn't be there because it's not the primary interest, as you rightly said. So yes, that's what I'm saying, that after you run your analysis and you find out that most of the results that you've gotten maybe is not really fit, or maybe it has been negatively insignificant like that. So at that point, can you just bring up a control variable that will influence that relationship? Is it possible?
You have asked a very germane question. Very, very important question. When I've run series of regression analysis, and I can say that the question is very, very, very important. See, and that's what made me to understand, let me say, deeper what control variables are. When you are studying this independent effect of, I'll still go back to the this board attribute on firm performance. You might run only them. and they are not significant. Does it mean that they are not significant? No. What you have just done, there's what is called the omitted variable bias as scripting into your analysis. Omitted variable. You have not brought in other confounding variable that for corporate governance attribute to really have effect, perhaps it needs the presence of a leverage. It needs the presence of working capital. It needs the presence of other attributes. And those other variables is what you now bring in as control variable. You understand? So if you run a regression and you discover that sometimes if a control variable is not significant, I might decide to drop it and bring in a fresh control variable. And maybe my variable of interest, the independent variable that was not significant before, because I change or bring in additional control variable, it becomes significant.
Okay.
So you can, like I use the word when we were talking about independent variable for my outline, which I will share. I refer to independent variable as independent variable is that factor that is manipulated. Manipulated. You understand? You might decide to change them around to see their impact on the dependent variable. In the same way, we can actually manipulate our control variable. Manipulate. That is not cheating. You are just trying to see. Maybe working capital is not a confounding factor. Let me bring in other factor. Let me at this point, but especially when you are writing papers, thesis is another thing entirely. But if you want to write paper, I will always, before I write a paper, I try to run a preliminary regression. I run my result before writing the paper. If I have the paper, if my results are looking good after controlling, bringing in all the possible control variable, they are looking good before I will proceed to writing the paper. And once I have my results at hand, writing my introduction, writing my literature becomes much more easier because I already have the end in my hand. I know where I'm going. And it can also form the choice of the title of my paper. If I cannot say...
Sir, please, network was bad. You said before you write when you are writing a paper, then my network started misbehaving. Please, what did you say?
Okay, Dr.
It sounds very important.
I said, before I write a paper, I will only want to run my preliminary regression. For thesis, for dissertation, that might not be too visible, because you need to write your title defense, proposal, and before you now come to that. But it's also a challenge because you discover that somebody has written a title, proposal, and now it comes to regression. Things are not working. It will end up going back, changing variables, or trying to modify the study. Perhaps because maybe, what's it called? The variables of interest, measurement, there's measurement problem. You cannot easily get the data to run that particular variable. It becomes a problem. But before you proceed, if you can do a preliminary study, a preliminary analysis to know that all your variables are possible and even run a preliminary regression to see how it runs, it puts you on a better footing. You understand? You now know that where the journey you are going, you have an idea of where it's going to end. So what I'm saying is, if I want to write a paper, I run my analysis. After I finish my analysis and I'm satisfied with it, I'll start writing the paper. And sometimes it's after I've done the analysis, I've finished writing the paper, like almost complete, before I will not even put the, what's it called? The title of the paper to suit the final outcome. How leverage impacts on profitability. Perhaps I've seen that leverage has a significant effect. I've seen that leverage has a significant effect on profitability. If you check titles that way, some papers you see their title this way: how firm size moderates the relationship. The person is already suggesting to you that the firm size has a moderating effect. It's different from the one that will say the moderating effect of firm size on this than this relationship. You understand? So some titles, you know that the writer is already definitive of the final results from the title. So I think that's a topic for another day. But let's. But I think Sadia have answer your question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So from control variable, I said we'll talk about dummy variable. Did I mention dummy variable?
I don't think so.
I don't think I mentioned it. But no, I didn't. But
I didn't hear that.
It's in my outline. But let's go to moderating variable. Moderating variable. But remind me of dummy variable later, please. Moderating variable. What is a moderator? I will undo moderating variable.
It strengthens the relationship.
Or weakens.
Very well.
Or weakens.
Either it strengthens or weakens the relationship.
Or weakens. Very well said. I want to undo moderating variable with mediating variable. I have not seen much work on mediating variable from Anand University, and I'm hoping that we are going to be seeing more of mediating variable in Anand University. When you talk of moderating variable, it's a variable that weakens or strengthens a relationship. It's either weakens or strengthens a relationship. But what is a mediating variable? What is a mediating variable?
It's the one that explains the relationship between the two variables.
Mediating variable explains the relationship.
Explain the relationship.
So what does independent
Or
variable
intervene.
do?
Or intervene.
You are just giving me a synonym for mediating variable.
Okay.
Moderating variable is interacting variable. Mediating variable is intervening variable. You are just giving me the synonym. But let's look at it this way. I try to look at it from relationship aspect. Relationship aspect. Like let's look at it back to secondary school. Back to secondary school.
Okay.
I know when boys are men. Want to go and chase a girl. You need the assistance of your friend to follow you. Do I have witness in the house?
You're right. You're right, sir.
Why are you exposing the men, sir?
No,
Yes,
they are like that.
sir.
It's the truth. You need somebody, a mouthpiece.
You need an assistant. No, I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere. Two of you will go together. Maybe it's you that will not speak. You are the variable of interest. It might be that your friend did not even speak. But his presence has supported you. Right?
Yes, sir.
It has given you the confidence, the morale. So that your friend is a moderator.
Okay.
So you have come together to chase a goal. You understand?
Yes, sir.
You know, I said earlier that the concept of mediation and moderation came from psychology and sociology. We only borrowed it into finance and account. You understand? So I've illustrated with two boys coming together. The same, I'll still go further. It's also possible that two of you go together. You are the one that is interested in the girl. But it's your friend that spoke on your behalf.
Okay.
That is mediation.
Mediation.
Are we together?
Yes, sir.
So
that we are together. In research is good, but in this your example is bad.
no, but it's the reality of life. I'm just trying to bring it to.
I know. I'm just saying, if you are using a mediating variable in your relationship, you should better stop, because one day you enter one chance.
I agree with you, Dr. Sadia.
But I want to bring it into context whereby in the context
we will not forget, right?
You will not forget.
Yes, it will stick to our brain.
I just want you to have it in that context so that you will not forget.
So mediative variable has now become no. I'm looking for a word that I will put it, has now become on behalf of Abby.
On behalf of the person that
on
has
behalf
interest.
of Kawe.
So
yes,
if a mediating variable, the independent variable must pass through. We have to pass through the mediating variable to get to the dependent variable. That's what I'm saying.
So the dependent variable is the main target.
Yes.
Independent is your friend that spoke on behalf of the dependent.
No. Your friend that spoke
on behalf of the independent.
Your friend that spoke intermediate.
Is the intermediate, is the mediator that spoke on your behalf.
On behalf, yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, is the mediator. Because you have to go through him to get to your destination. So your mediating variable is that variable that the independent variable passes through to have an impact on the dependent variable.
Okay.
Are we clear? So moderating variable is an interacting variable. It interacts, that it comes together with the independent variable to have an impact on the dependent variable.
We can't hear you again. I don't know that is from my own end.
It's allowing you to understand and assimilate the analogy he just gave.
Okay.
Is it not getting too long?
He has left, oh. He's not even on call. I think the network threw him out. I think it's the network, it's not from him. So let's give him a few minutes. So, Mr. Michael.
Yes, doctor.
You can continue from where he stopped.
You see, you
so you are the mediator.
you were a dependent variable.
Sadia is the dependent. Me, I'm the independent.
No, Sadia will tell us
No,
about
you are the one. You and that your
Sadia will
friend
tell us.
Olubisi. You are the
No,
mediating.
Sadia will tell us about Korean time that
You
she
are
wanted
keeping
to see.
quiet. Is you that is
Okay,
keeping
sorry.
quiet? Olubisi is the one talking on behalf of you, so you are the
But
mediator.
actually, if you are using spices as a control variable, it means you have more than 10 control variables. So.
Exactly. That's why he
20
said. That's why he said that you have the option to use as
Because
much as possible, but you shouldn't use too much before.
But
Before
not
you
too
go
much,
and start
not
adding
too much.
Not too much. Not
tomato
too much.
ketchup into your egusi soup.
It's only
Not
independent. It's only independent. I'm seeing 8. So people are using 8. So people are using 7. And most of the time, I'm only seeing only 2, 3. 2, 3. I've not seen somebody that packed 5 control variables. Or else your analysis, you go enter Wahala, go enter Professor Fodio Wahala.
I have seen control variable of 5 control variables. I have seen independent variable of 10, 15 independent variables.
It's 8 and 10.
say
No?
what
Which
happen.
15? We say what happen. Say now you want, now you're on top of your head, you want write physics.
I have seen.
I know I've seen 8.
I have
So
seen
independent.
I have seen.
The person must be a genius.
I lost my network. I lost my network, but I'm back. I don't know where I even stopped. We're talking about
I think you're talking about moderator. After, I think moderator.
moderating.
Yes,
that's
you
a
finished mediation.
Mediator.
Yes, moderator.
Okay, I just
moderating variable.
Moderating. A moderating variable affects the strength or direction of the relationship between an independent variable and dependent variable. A moderator helps to reveal conditional relationship, which would have otherwise been overlooked. Conditional relationship that in the presence of this pen size, leverage tend to slow down profitability, or leverage tend to increase profitability. It's either it's accelerating it or decelerating it. It can have a multiplying effect or a demultiplier effect. You understand? It must if what's it called? X is your independent variable. Z is your mediating variable. X and Z must come together to impart on Y. Y is your dependent variable. So, but for mediating variable, if your mediating variable is Z, it means that X must pass through Z to have an impact on Y. I'm going a little mathematical there.
So, sir,
yes,
sir. Now, let us go back to your initial example that you used the 2 guys.
We don't want to go back into that example.
No, I want to reverse it. I want to reverse it. No, I'm going somewhere. I want to reverse it for better understanding. Using the moderating. Now, in the moderating, when you go to the dependent variable, which is the lady, normally you know they go in clusters. The lady will now subject the guy to analysis by her friends. So those are friends now, they are the moderators. So they can affect the outcome of that your approach or otherwise. So they are the moderators.
Hey, don't scatter them.
They are not the moderator. I can bring them as control variable.
Observers, observed variable.
Control variables that can also have impact on you getting your target. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
The presence of the lady's friend as another control variable.
Okay, like Sadia now can affect the decision of Blessing Tiki.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, sir.
But she's not the primary interest now.
Mr. Michael, you are a researcher. You shouldn't be biased.
He has manipulated his
Biasness is
data.
not allowed.
Okay. Let's not lose focus of the example.
Oh my God.
Okay, it has been interesting. I think we have mediating. Let me just I said a mediating variable explain the mechanism through which an independent variable influences a dependent variable. Yes, when I think there's there's a work I did. When you say the word true, you see a paper, a paper that is titled maybe effect of capital structure on profitability. I'm trying to frame it well. Effect of without even using the word mediation. That's what I'm trying to do. Effect of capital structure on profitability through dividend policy. Effect of capital structure on profitability through dividend policy. That word, through, without using mediation, already suggests to me that this is a mediation that is taking place, because mediation must pass through the order to get to the outcome variable. You understand? So sometimes you see mediation work titled that way. When you say, if the word mediation is not used, you must say through this. And for moderation, people tend to use interaction of firm size with capital structure on firm performance, which is also, we are talking about moderation. You understand? So we have talked about independent variable, dependent variable, mediating variable, moderating variable, and control variables. Five variables achieved. Yes, I talked of a dummy variable. I think that should be the last of the variables that we want to consider tonight. Are we together? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can hear you. Not that here.
Okay, so dummy variables are just dummy. When you say dummy, they are binary in nature. It's either is 0 or 1. Is 0 or 1. They are also very useful variable in research. A dummy variable is called indicator variable or binary variable. They take the value of 0 or 1 to represent categorical variables in a regression model.
Have I finished? You know, I finished. I don't.
So I take it again. Dummy variable, they are called indicator or binary variable. They take the value of 0 or 1. They are very, very useful in regression model. You use it to classify variable. If you want to look at what's it called? Board gender diversity. You might want to say if or CEO gender effect on firm performance. If female 1, if male 0. They are dummy variable. They are categorical. Dummy in the sense that you assign it. You are the one assigning it. If the CEO of a firm is female, put 1. If the CEO is male, put 0. So they only take the value of either 0 or 1. If you are studying the Nigerian capital market, profitability of listed firms in Nigeria, and you want to divide your study into 2, maybe for financial firms and non-financial firms. You might code financial firm as 0. No, you might code financial firm as 1 and decided to code non-financial firm as 0. So you might run the regression of profitability, putting the dummy variable of financial firm and non-financial firm. What that is telling you, you want to also know profitability. You are looking at it from the perspective of how it affects financial firms and how it affects non-financial firms. If you are looking at a CEO gender, you want to know whether firms that are managed by female CEO perform better than the ones that are managed by male CEO. You understand? You introduce the dummy variable. Dummy variable can also be introduced for sectorial analysis like the one I've just done. Financial firms, non-financial firms. It can also serve as a basis for comparing the impact on, what's it called, on the dependent variable. So you can use dummy variable to classify for industry classification. You can say 1 for financial sector, 0 for non-financial sector, when you are comparing corporate governance practices across sector. So, but you want to be sure that since the financial sector are highly regulated, you understand? You have CBN regulating it. You have what's it called? So many, deposit, Nigerian deposit, whatever, all sorts of regulations are there to guide the financial sector. You understand? So you might now want to say, okay, these are regulated sector. Let's see the impact separately. You can use dummy variable to classify it. You understand that? Okay, 1 for financial sector is 0 for non-financial sector. You can also use the dummy variable for, let's say, IFRS adoption. If a firm has adopted or a country has adopted IFRS, put 1. If not, put 0 when examining the effect of examining its impact on what's it called, earnings management. You can also use dummy variable to classify firms as maybe firms that are paying dividends and firms that are not paying dividends. You can say 1 for firms that are paying dividends, 0 for firms that are not paying dividends when you are investigating determinants of investigating the determinant of dividend payouts. You understand? So those are some of the way you can bring in dummy variables into your work, and it will also make it to have uniqueness. It makes it to have uniqueness and provide further insight into your work. So by and large, I think I have covered all that we are set out to do for this section today. We have looked at all the 5 variable plus 1. So if you have a question, contribution, let's have them. Question and contribution.
Sir? Sir?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me contribute to the dummy variable.
Okay.
I use dummy variable for my thesis. The reason is
Dr. Wabla, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are back.
We can hear you now.
Okay. What happened is that it is very difficult for you to find information about fraud. Most organizations wouldn't want to report, wouldn't want you to have that information. So I am, conducting a research about electronic fraud in listed deposit money banks. And so what I did is what most of them did is they reported, they will either report fraud or not report. Some of them, it is only very few of them that reported actual number of cases, the amount losses. Most of them, so as in the information is not there. So what I did is for companies that reported, as in for banks that reported fraud, I used 1 for them. For bank that did not report fraud, I used 0 for them. This is a practical example.
Okay, I think that that's right on point. I agree with you. That's a very good example. Thank you very much. Any other contribution or question?
Hello, sir.
Good
That
evening. Good evening.
Good evening. Let's have
Can I
your
go?
question or contribution.
Mohammed speaking. Yeah, Mohammed Abba speaking. Good evening, all.
Yeah,
Good evening,
good to
everybody.
have you, Dr. Mohammed.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine.
I just want to, based on your explanation, just seeking clarification. The dummy variable and control variable, are they separate or are they the same?
Well, I think it is on the context again. Dummy variable, like Sadia used dummy variable as a, is it a dependent variable or independent variable? Sadia?
Sir, dummy, my dependent variable is dummy variable.
Fine and good. So
yes.
So she used dummy variable as a dependent variable. You understand? Like it depends on
Initially, the topic was electronic fraud prevention. But when just like you said, sometimes it's at the end you even get the name, the title right. So initially, from the beginning, when I started the research, prevention, but when I couldn't find the data for the dependent variable, I didn't have option than to change it to electronic fraud detection, because I used dummy variable.
Okay. Yeah, that's the choice of the word, detection. So it's either there is fraud or no fraud. That's it. That's what makes a dummy variable suitable. So, Dr. Mohammed, difference between dummy and control variable. You can use dummy variable also as control. You are bringing in dummy as control. It's permissible. Dummy variable can be used as independent variable. Right? It can be used as dependent variable. What makes a variable dummy is the fact that it's only taking two values, yes or no, plus or minus. But what we are coded, they are being coded as male or female, but you are coding it as 1 or 0. You understand? So if CEO gender in a study is...
Sir, could you give an example how you code country dummies?
Country dummies. Country dummies is also means coded, it will be coded binary. Binary.
Okay.
But binary in the sense that, you have it 0, 0 or 1. 0 or 1. But if you are having, I know where you are going. I know it's investment your study, where you have like 4 countries.
Yes, doctor. Yes, sir.
You are having 4 countries in a study.
Yes, sir.
And you want to do either 1 or 0. You now ask which country will take 1, which one country will take 0. All of them will still take 0 and 1, 0 and 1. But I don't know what what I want to do. What I'm trying to explain is, if there are 4 countries, let me put it this way: 4 countries. Maybe Nigeria will be 0001. The last digit there, the last digit there is a 1 representing Nigeria. That's 0001 representing Nigeria. That's Nigeria is coded 1, and it's coded 0001. Maybe Ghana will now be coded 0010. Are you? Am I making sense? Not yet.
Yeah, I understand. Then Togo could be 0100, Gambia will be 1000. If that's the case.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I understand.
Aha.
Okay.
So you have used zeros, alternate Though therefore you have been able to alternate where the one will be. So the position of the one will be now tell you which country you are referring to. You understand?
Okay. Understand.
Okay. So I think that's a very good technical one, almost knocking me off my feet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes. But I think I've clarified the issue of dummy, and dummy can be a control, it can be independent, and it can also be dependent, depending on the context you want to use it. Okay, somebody was asking. Any question? Any other question? I have a quiz I will share on the group. I don't know whether I'm going to share it. Maybe on the chat. You can just answer it on your own. You get the answer. Are we together?
Yes,
we
are.
Okay, I'm trying to see. That will be the last thing I want to do today. Day one. Just to have a recap of what we have done today. Okay, I think I'm trying to assess it. I will drop the quiz on the group on the chat box. That's the link to it. A link you can just assess yourself on all that we have done today. Just a quick recap. Once you are done, you submit it. I think it will rate you. You'll see your scores. I do not have a back end to the score, so it's you that will know what you score.
Okay, we'll send the link. Thank you, sir.
There are 10 questions there. Once you just answer them and you submit, your scores will come to you. So maybe with that, I don't know, Dr. Precious, was she able to come back to the session? Dr. Precious, you are welcome back. Dr. Precious, do you have anything to say for us?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Any other thing to add to what we have done tonight?
I just want to apologize.
No, we understand technology can be crazy. Even me, I was logged out for like 10 minutes or so. I think the session, Dr. Wabla, Dr. Sadia and every other person, they were able to keep the class alive till I was able to return. But it has been so far so good. Interactive section. I think we are rounding up. I'll just share the links to the quiz. I'm sure some persons have started perhaps seeing their scores. If you get 10-10, let us know. Okay. Anybody has finished? Has anybody finished?
Sorry, Dr. Simon, I can't find, I don't know where the link was dropped.
I can't find the link too.
On the chat. Chat.
Which of the chats?
Google chat now, this chat, not WhatsApp. On this Google Meet. There is the icon, I mean, this text box, maybe it's about third, I mean, the third on the right, down.
The second to the last icon, that's at the bottom.
Third to the
that
last.
Looks like a.
Have you seen it? Have you seen it?
So on my own screen is second to the last icon. That's at the right hand side. Second to the last.
Okay, second to the last. Okay, maybe you don't have
Yes,
the control button. Okay, it could be second to the last. You're right. Second to the last.
Just after where you have the list
Where
of
you-
attendees.
Yeah, after the list of attendees, that's it. You have that call, something like a call out button like this. Maybe if I drop it, you might also, let me drop it again. Maybe it might pop up on your, did you see anything on the? Have we seen it?
So is it the post-PhD discussion group?
No. It's on this Google Meet. Here. Where you have the, after the list of attendees, where you have the maybe 17 present, there's a button next to it. Chat with everyone. If you click on it, you will see the message there. On your extreme right, at the bottom on the extreme right, you will see the second to the last button. If you hover your mouse on it, you will see chat with everybody, everyone. Click on it. Has anybody finished?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's that blessing.
Wabla.
Oh, Dr. Wabla. I hope you got 100%.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. How was it? I think it does it recap what we have done? Does it recap what we have done?
Yes,
It does.
yes.
Okay. So I think every other person will find it interesting. We are hoping that we continue the
I
session
scored
tomorrow.
9/10.
Hey, I
Dr.
got 9.
Sadia.
Oh.
9.
I got
I
9.
scored 9 too.
Okay,
I got
that's
9.
good.
I got 9.
Congratulations. Congratulations, blessings. Congratulations.
I got 9.
So Tiki,
Yes, sir.
how come? Tiki, how come?
I didn't remember to pick one. I left it on hold. I didn't remember.
Okay.
Me, I didn't leave
It
any
was when
on
I
hold. I
submitted I
just
realized I didn't put one.
Okay.
But I got 9.
Okay, that's good. At least it helps also recap, give a recap of what we have done today. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. So hopefully tomorrow, I think hoping that we'll be able to go into some practical regression session tomorrow, most especially for those of us that interpreting our result and the rest of them is still a problem. At least even if somebody is running regression for you, know what the person is doing, know what you have to watch out for. You understand? And know why this person know why this person is doing this. There are, let me call it 101 type of regression analysis. But when do you know which one is appropriate for you? Is it OLS? Is it fixed effect? Is it random effect? Is it GLM? Is it what's it called? GMM? Is it a structural equation model? There are series countless of is it Tobit regression? Is it Probit regression? Is it other logistic regression? We can continue to count and count them, but the nature of your study is what determines the what's it called? The model you are going to use for your study. The nature of your study is what determines the model you are going to use. If anybody is using categorical variable, for instance, and is doing OLS regression, the person is making a mistake. Quote me, because categorical will better go for an order the what's it called, logistic regression. So some of these things is what we are going to look at tomorrow, the same time. God helping us. So do we have can we call it a day?
Before we call it a day, I got 10 over 10.
Congratulations, my brother.
Mr. Michael, I don't trust you.
Should I screenshot it for you?
No need, but I am suspecting you.
If you screenshot for us.
Me, I screenshot mine, but in the chat space, I didn't see any place to attach.
Okay, no problem, no problem.
Yes, I was talking when my
I don't
network
trust
says.
you. You should screenshot your work. It's not to be saying 10 over 10. Everybody should screenshot his work.
How can we get 9 when they get 10?
Screenshot it and drop it on my page.
It's a self-assessment. It's a
Yeah,
self-assessment.
I'm representing the brotherhood.
Dr. Simon, sure you are hearing them. You say it's self-assessment. Can you even drop it?
But sir, do you know how funny thing? Do you know how funny thing?
No.
This lecture is like it's about my work. Oh, you talk about logistic regression. That's what I use. You know, the network sees when I came back, so I heard you mentioning logistic regression. I laughed. I said, is it about my work?
No. I was just having
because I used the control variable, I used dummy variable, I used logistic regression. So as you are talking, I feel paranoid, as if you are. Yes.
No. I'm just giving.
I know it is a coincidence.
No, a preview into what we are going to discuss tomorrow.
Okay, so tomorrow what are we going to discuss? Is it the collection of how to? What are we going to do?
Regression.
We are going to look at the different model specification, different types of regression analysis that is available for our research.
But are we going to run them?
Hopefully, we'll run one or two. Hopefully, we'll run one or two.
Please, can we run primary data?
Oh, primary
Why
data?
primary data, Sadia?
The reason is because it is not common. You can hardly, even the lecturers, I tried it. When you confront them, they will tell you, most of them will tell you, I don't work with primary data. But it's not as if I'm going to use it. But the thing is, even if you are not going to use something, you should know how to do it. Abi?
Okay.
But let's use the one that is common to us.
I can get a primary data. I can get a primary data.
Yes, I don't mean we should do everything primary data, but for the fact that it is rare and people don't use it, we should know how to do it.
No, it's still the same
one
thing.
that is common that people don't know how to do it. Which one is better?
People know how to do secondary data.
It's not all.
It's not all. I think every method has to everybody the professional.
It's not everybody.
I want to believe all of us that reach this level. Dr. Obla, I want to believe all of us that reach this level. Most of us use secondary data.
The truth is that it's only accounting based.
Hold on, we did seminar paper, we did 2 publications, we did 1 thesis. How about it?
Well, it depends. The truth is that I've seen people that are even now professors. Their concern is about primary data, not secondary data.
Exactly. So now you are coming back to my point.
They are not used to quantitative type of research. They are not even positivists it's only accounting students that are positivists purely, most of us.
Of course,
Yes,
of course.
some of them are
But-
realists. So they don't.
Okay, I found myself. I actually found myself last month in a situation where I had to use primary data for something different, not for Anna.
Okay.
So I went helter skelter looking for who can help me run a primary data. At the end of the day, that was how the program finished. Till today I didn't submit my project
No,
because
the gap
I
is
used
there so that you can employ data analysts, please. Employ us.
you know how to do it
so
very
that
well.
we can eat your money, please.
Do you know what they are even telling me?
For us to feel.
I don't know. People try to avoid. So you can use it very well. Why not? If somebody can do it very well, why not? You organize something like this. You charge us, no problem.
What? It's part of the service we render.
It's like nobody is interested. So, Mr. Simon, no problem. Do what they want.
No, don't say nobody's interested. Or don't say nobody's interested.
No, we are
interested.
interested.
Knowledge cannot be lost.
Okay.
We're interested. Don't say nobody's interested. Please.
No, this one that they have been,
No, you can still do that. It's not out of place.
They said every knowledge is useful.
We should start
You
with
can
secondary
do
data.
both. You can do both.
Yes, that is my suggestion.
You can do both. It's not out of
I will
place.
integrate that into tomorrow's session, please. I will. No problem. So tomorrow we are looking at
Thank you, Doc.
When are we meeting tomorrow?
7.
Thank you, Doc.
Same time.
7 o'clock. Same time.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Francis,
Thank you,
you see your
Doc.
voice I'm hearing now. Where's your
My
where's your twin
apology
brother?
to my
Thank you,
apology
Dr.
to our
Simon. Good night.
my apology to our
Thank you,
Muslim
bless
brothers.
you. I can hear your
Sir?
voice.
I can hear
My
you too.
apology to our Muslim brothers that we are starting this as on the very first day of the
Ramadan.
I'm telling you.
Ramadan. Please, we never took that into consideration. Please, my apology. Because I got some persons saying that they will be breaking fast at that period. They won't be able to join.
Yes,
And
it
they
is
even-
true. I missed prayer too.
So
maybe
sorry
Doc.
about that.
Well, maybe Doc.
Like in my
Maybe you
case, I had
find
to
out
join
when
at
they
8
are
o'clock.
breaking. Maybe tomorrow you can move it to 8 now when they finish breaking their
No,
fast so that they will not miss
Bring
out.
your food close to the distance. There's no time. Oh, we move
Okay.
it to 7:30. 7:30, okay? Or what do you say?
Okay, maybe 7:30.
Maybe they will
can make it 8
move it a
o'clock,
bit.
it's okay now,
A bit.
by 8 o'clock.
Okay, 8
We
to
can
10.
start
I
by
think 8
7:30.
o'clock is better.
8 o'clock
Okay,
is
okay.
You
Gaskia
can
8
start
is
the
very
meeting. Immediately
okay.
I'll join by 8 o'clock.
So
8
that
is
they can
very
Yeah, 8
okay,
o'clock is
more.
actually.
ideal.
If you are
So that
Gaskia,
they
if
can
you are going to
participate
pray 8
more.
o'clock, it's okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I
So
think
you
8
are
o'clock is
suggesting
better.
8 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yes,
8
8
o'clock
p.m.
is better.
Yes.
So that we can give room for them.
Gaskia, because there are so many people that will want to join, but because of this prayer.
And it's even
Okay.
an important session, regression. So it's not good to start it halfway.
Yes.
So that 8 o'clock is better off.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I just finished cooking. I just went to pick my phone. I saw that already you have started the lectures today.
Yeah.
So if it happens tomorrow, I will miss a part of it.
Most part of the earlier discussion, we miss it.
So sorry about
Don't worry,
that.
you
So
have a
sorry about
recap. You recap before you start regression. You
So
recap.
okay, that's very interesting.
You
So
can
that's why
recap.
we are happy.
Thank you.
Maybe
We are happy
Dr. Precious will recap and
and
we'll start from
the
there.
blessing.
Well done, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Good
much,
night.
everybody. Good night.
Thank
you all
Thank you,
very
Doc.
much for a wonderful
Thank
session.
you for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
All right.
Francis, good evening.
Francis
So,
voice, you know they hear am again.
our sister Dr. Dia, I salute all of you.
Mr.
Thank
Francis, I'm
you.
just hearing
Being
your
here
voice.
for us.
Where is your twin brother?
I don't know where he
I
has
don't
gone to.
understand it's your twin brother.
This is their kind of friendship, bah?
I don't understand them again.
It's like he traveled. He just came back yesterday. So
Okay.
Hey, yeah.
he's settling down.